Now that Game of Thrones has ended, it's time to look back at all 8 seasons to see how they stack up against each other. Whether you're a fan of political intrigue, amazing CGI, character development, or epic battles, each season had something to offer. From the highs of the show, the Red Wedding of Season 3, the Battle of the Bastards of Season 6, to the lows, the Sand Snakes of Season 5, and the incredibly rushed ending of Season 8, I'm going to rank them all. The following is my list of seasons from least to most enjoyable. Last on my list, Season 8. I was cautiously optimistic going into the final season. Yes, Season 7 felt rushed and had some moments that made me wonder what the heck the writers were thinking. But overall, I was still excited, and episodes 1 and 2 of Season 8 did not let me down. I felt such emotion watching these characters share moments together, thinking it was truly their last night, with Brienne's knighting and Pod's rendition of Jenny's song. The beginning of episode 3 was, without a doubt, the most anxious and nervous I have ever felt watching a show in my life. But then it all came crashing down. Hard. The demise of the Night King was expected. I never really assumed he would be sitting on the Iron Throne. It was how he met his end that surprised me. I was so unmoved by it. Maybe it was because I was already so numb from all the ridiculous main character plot armor, or maybe it was because I could not really see what was going on due to the darkness. Regardless, I was really let down. In the last 3 episodes of the season,
Couldn't let you go without asking you a little question about Game of Thrones.
Sure.
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
coming in at number 7 on my list, Season 5. Season 5 had some good scenes in the series, but in my opinion they were few and far between. The Battle of Hardhome gave the first real look at the Night King and the undead army, and let the viewers know how serious of a threat the phrase, "winter is coming," really is. The Night's Watch betrayal to Jon was a great way to end the season, keeping the viewers on the edge of their seat watching Jon Snow gasp his last breath. But the season left a lot to be desired for a majority of the time. The introduction of the Sand Snakes to the show was so lackluster, and I never could fully get on board with the time the show devoted to Arya at the House of Black and White. This is the first full season where the writers of the show did not have the novels to pull from for source material, and it really showed. Next up at number 6 on my list, Season 7. Season 7 was filled with a lot of positives. As viewers, we finally get closure with the Jon Snow storyline and discover that he is truly Targaryen. The interaction with Daenerys and her allies in the war room of Dragonstone, preparing for war with the Lannisters, was a great scene. And no one's ever going to forget Lady Olenna looking Jaime Lannister right in the face and telling him that she was the one who poisoned Joffrey. Despite all the highs of the season, there were some lows. The jetpacking was a consistent problem with this season. Perfect example. Gendry running from miles north of the Wall to the Night's Watch so a raven can be sent from Castle Black to Dragonstone to inform Daenerys to come north and help Jon, and finish that up with Daenerys flying Drogon from Dragonstone to north of the Wall. Thousands of miles traveled, all happening in 10 minutes of showtime, while Jon and others sit surrounded by undead. Yeah, jetpacking at its finest. Coming in at number 5, Season 2. It may surprise some that Season 2 falls so far down the list. I think it's a testament to the quality of the show in the earlier seasons that despite Season 2 being so good, it still falls into the number 5 spot. Season 2 gives us the episode Blackwater, our first real look at a large-scale battle on the show, and the directors and actors do not disappoint. could not help but believe that Stannis' army was going to emerge victorious, until that explosion of wildfire occurs that's so bright it lights up King's Landing in a flash of green for a brief moment. We also witness Theon's betrayal of Robb as he decides to side with his family and attack Winterfell to make himself prince. Game of Thrones, a show that's so good at forcing you to hate certain characters. There's also very interesting scenes of dialogue between Arya and Tywin in this season. This is where we first get a look at Tywin, and despite him being a Lannister, we come to truly appreciate his intelligence and demeanor. Next up, Season 6. Season 6 provided a drastic turnaround from Season 5 and offered some of the best moments in the show. Melisandre brings Jon back to life, and with it, we get to see the justice that is owed to the members of the Night's Watch who betrayed Jon at the end of Season 5. Season 6 provides many good scenes of Bran when he is learning to become the Three-Eyed Raven in his untimely mistake of being marked by the Night King. We get to see how powerful Bran's powers are as he travels back in time to witness the birth and true heritage of Jon. Also, we witness the tragic death of one of the most loved characters on the show, Hodor, and the background of what happened earlier in his life that caused his condition. The Battle of the Bastards. Need I really say more? And finally, we get to see Daenerys sail towards Westeros with the grand scene of her on board one of her many ships with her 3 dragons as we fade to black to end the season. Coming in at number 3, Season 1. The first introduction to how the Game of Thrones is played. As Cersei tells Ned Stark, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. And she couldn't have been more right. None of us truly believed that Ned Stark would be beheaded. But then that axe dropped, and we were introduced to a show that threw caution to the wind when it comes to killing off main characters. The political intrigue was at its highest in Season 1. It seemed every main character at King's Landing had a hidden motive. You didn't know who to trust, and that is what made the show so unique. The character development is at its best in Season 1. So many good moments of dialogue shared between Littlefinger, Varys, Cersei, Catelyn, and many other that shapes the future of the show. Not to mention the very single act of Episode 1 that most likely leads to the death of thousands upon thousands in war. A quote, "The things we do for love," followed by a push and a boy falling from a window. Coming in at number 2, Season 3. There was so much to love about Season 3. I have to begin with the Red Wedding, by far the most shocking scene of television I have yet to encounter. In the span of 10 minutes, half the main cast is gone. The scene was executed so well. As a viewer, I genuinely felt sorrow for Catelyn as she pleaded for her son Robb's life. And the fade to black as she exhibits that distant stare is so memorable. Season 3 also focuses on some really amazing dialogue and interaction between the Hound and Arya, which I find to be some of the most entertaining character development in the series. As a viewer, I can appreciate the hatred that Arya feels for the Hound that slowly, to some extent, she chooses to let go of. Also, we have the relationship that forms between Jaime and Brienne, which first provides a glimpse of the shift in Jaime's character arc that ultimately cost him his hand. Season 3 also introduces us to Ramsay Bolton and his continuing torture of Theon at the Dreadfort. And coming in at the number 1 spot, Season 4. Season 4 was the peak of Game of Thrones. It's the definition of quality television. There are so many well-written and executed scenes in this season. We have the Purple Wedding, where we finally have the death of Joffrey that fans have been so aching to see. Following that is the prosecution and trial of Tyrion for the crime of killing Joffrey that he did not commit. Peter Dinklage truly comes to form playing the role of Tyrion in this season. I I've never seen a more well-acted scene than when Tyrion is on trial and reaches his breaking point, yelling at the masses in the Red Keep. You can sense the anger and frustration that he has, most likely, been brewing in him for all these years of torment that he has suffered when he claims, "I'm guilty of being a dwarf." We have the episode, The Mountain and the Viper, where Oberyn Martell defends Tyrion's right to trial by combat. For a split second, I feel gratification as a viewer when I believe the Mountain has been defeated, only to have my jaw drop on the floor a moment later when Oberyn's head is crushed. Lastly, we have the episode The Watchers on the Wall, which provides an exciting battle between the Night's Watch and the Northmen that leads to the death of Ygritte. Thanks for listening in. If you enjoyed this video, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. Also, leave a comment below on if you agree or disagree with my rankings. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on The Ginger Critic.